Hi everyone, Diana Rankin here, coming to you with Psychic Soul messages and a few predictions for the week of July 30th to August 5th. I always have to think about that, don't I? July 30th to August 5th. What a week it's going to be. It's not we're moving into a time of that we've never seen before in our lifetime. In recorded history, we're really moving into an energy that it's probably the most powerful energy we can imagine. I'm going to talk a little bit more on the August video, which will be coming out by August 1st, maybe not till on August 1st, but I will talk more about what's going on in August. But I just want to give you a couple of things here. Keep in mind, August is there are two major energetic things taking place. August the 12th is a meteor shower like we have literally never experienced in the history of recorded history of humans. And then on the 21st, will be seen in the US on the 21st, is the total solar eclipse. Please notice that that's August 12th, 1, 2, and reversed August 21st. A numerologist can explain that better than I can because I'm not a numerologist, but I am very aware of numbers. And so I see numbers a little bit differently. I probably see them a little bit more like a numerologist because I kind of see what do numbers mean rather than how do you add up the column. You know, it's important in this period of time that we pay attention to everything, not to drive ourselves crazy, certainly not to allow ourselves to get involved with everything, but pay attention to those clues, learn what they mean. For example, what do I mean by that? Well, I keep a book around. It's Ted Andrews' book, and this is if I see an animal or an animal bites me or an animal pays attention to me, I will go to this book and look up to see what that animal means. And the same with if I feel something going on in my body, I use this book, which is Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body, and it has affirmations, but it also gives you an indication of what's going on in your body, and I find this really accurate. And then, like I said, I'm not a numerologist, but I keep a chart around that tells me the different numbers and what their meanings. And then also, I don't have her book, but I don't have her book here in front of me, but I like Doreen Virtue's angel numbers. I think they're fairly accurate as well. So I use those as helpmates to tell me what those clues that Spirit is sending me, what those clues mean. For example, many of you, I'm on the other side of my office today. Weather wasn't quite conducive to being outside to videotape. But if I'm sitting at my other desk, you'll often hear the wren who is right outside the window. And they're out there. I can see them today. There's a new family out there. Mother's rebuilding the nest. And so what I would do then, because if she's getting my attention or if I hear a couple of wrens that are really a little stronger than normal singing, I would look up in this particular book and I would say, okay, wren is about resourcefulness and boldness. And it's about spring. Well, I put that together with the numbers, even though it is July and we're getting ready to go into August, and I'd look at the numbers and I would say 1 is a number of beginnings. So spring is a beginning. So I look at that and I say something is beginning here in my life, and I'd start to put that together. Well, I also want to do that for all of us because it's those kinds of clues. It's that kind of thing that we want to pay attention to because we are in this very powerful energy. And if you listened to last week's video, thank you. you heard me say, and you may be hearing the wrens chirping. They're trying very hard to get our attention. But if you heard me last week, in addition to hearing the wrens, you heard me say that we can use, I believe it was last week, maybe the week before, but we can use this energy either constructively or destructively. We can use it constructively in our own lives, our personal lives, and also for the greater good of the world. Now, how do we do that? And what am I talking about? And it comes down to, you've heard me say this, love. If we think of love as a verb, we can save our world. It's that serious, friends. If we think of love as just the romantic, that's a part of it. But if we think only of love as what we can get from someone or what someone gives to us, that's not love. I'm talking something much, much deeper. So let me tell you how that plays out in our lives. You know, in the U.S., there's been a lot of, with the political situation we're in, it's no longer politically correct to be politically correct. And to that I say, wrong. Political correctness to me, let me give you a tinge of my background, and that'll help explain why I believe political correctness is so important. Even though I saw people in spirit world from the time I was very, very little, I didn't start reading till 1996. I was a writer and I was in education. So I've taught, years ago I taught in a school, but mostly I taught, I was a guest lecturer at a university in California. When a friend who had a class would go off, I would guest lecture. But I was an adjunct here in a university in Ohio. So I have an education background. As a writer, I've written in the educational profession as well for 30 some years. So before I was a reader in 1996, and also after I started being a reader, I was still working in the educational industry as a writer and an editor. So I became very aware of PC language. Let me give you an example. One of the things, and it became a little wordy, but I think we can feel in our bodies the difference. If I say to you, that man has a disability, as opposed to he's disabled, there's a big difference. And so we began PC language because it was a politeness. It showed compassion. It showed understanding. It said, I'm not a student with a disability. I'm a student, or I'm not a disabled student. I'm a student with a disability. It's a huge difference in the language. And as a wordsmith, both as an oral wordsmith, a speaker, and also as the writer, I'm very aware of the power of words. And I've watched over the last year, increasingly people are using hate words. People are coming across with meanness in their language. At the same time, when love is taking over, we're using words that are even more powerful, but coming in a loving way. That's what I mean when I say love is a verb. And in order to literally save our world, we've got to counter all of the hate and the anger and the fear with love. And I know I've been called a snowflake. Here in the U.S., that's supposed to be an unkind word for someone who thinks love has power, or someone who thinks politically that a lot that's happened that's hurting people is incorrect. I guess I'm called a liberal, but I don't know about that. When I'm called a snowflake, my answer is thank you. That is, snowflakes are each individually beautiful, and God created each one with such tender, loving care. Thank you. I like being a snowflake. That's responding in love. If we respond in anger, it's not going to do anybody any good. Let's respond in love. Let's use words. And let's respond in love in our actions. If we're out with a group and we hear someone putting down another person or another group of people, let's be politically correct. Let's tell them, I'm offended by that. I think all people are beautiful and have an equal right to be here. Does that mean we shouldn't protect ourselves? Of course not. We can be politically correct and be extremely safe. You know, I have lived my life, and I don't necessarily advocate you're living your life the way I live my life, but I've lived my life in love rather than fear, and I've been very blessed. Years ago, I walked across Egypt not even realizing it was like 3 in the morning, but I was just so taken with where I was, and it was our first night there, and finally I was on the hotel ground, so I felt safe, uh, but it never dawned on me I might not be. The same where I live, I've been known to, at midnight, go out and look at the stars in the middle of the country. I've done that in the city too. Now, again, I'm not stupid. I use my intuition. I certainly call in my protectors, but wherever I go, I know I'm protected. What I have noticed in the world where I live or where I travel to is there's a dichotomy, and that dichotomy is pulling us apart. I grew up in a polite society. I grew up where men held doors for women. I grew up where if I was out on a date and someone used curse words at the next table, my date would tell them there's a lady present. So it's not a world we live in today, but it's a world that was, in many ways, for some of us, not all, it was politically correct in a different way than we use that term today. I bring this up because I want to bring some of that civility. I don't want to go back to what we had then, because too much was hidden. And I was one of the privileged ones because I was a cute little white girl. That wasn't true of many of my friends of where their skin is darker. That isn't true of my friends who come from another country and move here as a first or second generation. I don't want to go back to those kinds of prejudices. But what I do want to bring forth is the civility and respect for one another. If I am out and about and I overhear a conversation, I have been known to step between a man and a woman when he was getting ready to hurt her, and felt perfectly safe to do so. I don't advocate that, but I am saying step into the conversations. If you are seeing someone abused, step in. Not to the detriment of your own safety, but I think those of us who automatically do that, we don't think about, are we safe? It's just we move on instinct. If you can do that, do it. If you feel safe to do it, please do it. If on your Facebook page someone, or your social media page, someone posts something that's incorrect, politically incorrect, please ask them. You don't even have to use the term politically correct, but ask them, let's be more civil. Let's respect one another. Thank you for that. Let's see what Philip has to say. For those of you who are new to my videos, this is my spirit guide. And thank you for coming. And for those of you who come back, thank you so much. And thank you for your beautiful, loving comments, whether you put them below or you write to me. I'm so grateful. And I do get back and respond to those as quickly as I can. But this is, it's an oracle book, so each page has a different wisdom on it. So we have to think left page or right page. And let's see what Philip has to say, where he's going to have us stop here. All right, I'm getting left page. So let's see what left page has to say, and we'll see if we should also read the right, but I got left. Tomorrow is merely an extension of today. Is it not then wise to guard that which your thoughts create today? Let me read that again. Tomorrow is merely an extension of today. Is it not then wise to guard that which your thought creates today? On the right side, and I think this is not the message for this week, but I think it's important. Do not be so busy seeking life that you forget to be life. let's be politically correct. Let's work towards civility and great respect for each other. My friends, this week is going to be a tough week in that the energy is going to be so strong and it's building. It's like a fuse bomb in a sense that it's not yet ready to go off. So let's use that where the pendulum, the pendulum is here and it always swings one way before it settles into the center. Let's use all of our energy to remember love is a verb. Bring everything back to love. That's not namby-pamby, my friends. That's respect, civility for each other, and certainly for ourselves. Thank you for adding goodness to the world. Thank you for saving our world. Until August, in a couple of days, or until next week, this is Diana Rankin saying, I love you. I love you. Thank you for loving me. And thank you for receiving the love I'm sending to you.